It has been said that in Twilight Struggle, you need to know the cards well in order to play well. Well, we're going to take you through every card one by one, and we're going to help you become a master at Twilight Struggle. This is Legendary Tactics. Decolonization, quite simply, is one of the best Soviet events in the entire game, especially as it can be used as early as turn 1. The US player will need to mitigate this one for sure. Let's take a look at things in more depth. The event is a 2-op Soviet event that allows the USSR to add 1 influence in each of any 4 African and/or Southeast Asian countries. This is truly a great event for the USSR, and it never leaves the game. Because it is an early war card, it can be played multiple times throughout the game, and allows the Soviets access to regions that they would otherwise have trouble getting to. It's especially potent as a means for the Soviet player to get influence around the globe when you couple it with the de-Stalinization event. The US doesn't get an equivalent card like colonial rear guards or puppet governments until the mid-war. One of the big questions that immediately comes to mind with this event is, where do you place the influence? Obviously, it depends where you are in the game. Generally, you're going to play more influence to Asia early and more exclusively to Africa as things progress. For example, Thailand is an early game target provided it is safe to do so. It's not particularly useful to play 1 influence into Thailand when DEFCON is at 4 or 5, when the US can jump on it with a potentially powerful coup. But if DEFCON is at a safe level, this is a no-brainer if the US doesn't have access to Thailand. However, if they have access, some influence in Malaysia for example, the China card will come in handy as your main defense against the US desperately piling into Thailand after you have decolonized there. Even if the US already has a lot of influence in the region, putting an influence into Thailand is never a bad idea, as it might come in useful later on for access to the region or to close the influence gap a bit. For example, if you can lower the difference in influence to 2, you can threaten using the China card to go over the top there and to snatch control of Thailand when the timing is right. Also, grabbing some of the Southeast Asian countries like Indonesia can not only help with gaining or staving off enemy Asian domination, but also can be useful when the Southeast Asian scoring card comes out. Playing into Malaysia, and then later playing another influence there for control, not only helps with the Southeast Asia scoring, but can do something to seal off the region if the US hasn't moved northward from Australia in time. Even if the DEFCON allows it, Malaysia's stability makes it an inconvenient coup target. And playing into Laos, Cambodia can be a decent speed bump to slow US expansion. And of course, moving into Burma gives you access to India, and control of Burma helps out in defending against an Indo-Pakistani war. After that though, playing into Asia, except perhaps to reinforce Thailand, is less impactful as the game progresses, especially if you already have a good amount of control there. After Asia is more locked down, Africa is a better target as there are many battlegrounds available and you can control a lot of them with 1 influence. This means that you can more directly get to African domination, and it can help you to overcome the head start the US gets there with South Africa. Decolonization also gives you access to all of Africa, which otherwise would be potentially awkward to get to from either France or the Middle East. Here though, DEFCON considerations also play a part. Decolonizing into Africa at DEFCON 3, 4, or 5 generally gives the US some juicy targets for coup. You can, however, usually coup him right back if the American imperialist doesn't get a great role. Angola should be your first target for decolonization. This gives you access to Zaire and Botswana, which can give you domination in Africa or the opportunity to realign South Africa and lock the US out. Algeria is also useful as it is a high stability African battleground and gives you access to France if you need it. After that, Nigeria is your next play. It is hard to get to Nigeria by normal means because you can only get there by playing through non-battleground countries that are easily couped. Don't be afraid to place some influence in Africa in the early war, as you jumpstart your position there for when the African scoring card becomes available in the mid-war. When headlining Decolonization, always keep the US Defectors event in mind. You don't want this valuable event cancelled. If you don't know where Defectors is, play Decolonization during a regular action round. This means that this card might not be an ideal turn 1 headline unless you happen to have Defectors in hand. For the US player, Decolonization and Destalinization are the two cards that you want to hold until after the turn 3 reshuffle if possible. After that, send them to space. If you have to choose between the two, Decolonization should be the one that you carry over and send to space. It is just too valuable to the USSR and how it can affect future scoring in Africa and in Asia. Destalinization at least requires pulling influence from somewhere else and is a starred event and leaves the game right afterwards. In order to mitigate this card, make sure that you prioritize getting to Thailand as soon as you can. And also get to Angola and Zaire, though it might seem an unwise use of limited early war operations points. Both are an investment in your future and will ensure that you're competitive in both Asia and Africa going forward. Also, be aware that the influence placed by this card can break control of up to 4 countries, so if the game is in the balance, you may want to over-control some countries in a select and strategic way. So for the USSR, take this event early and often. This is one of your better events in the entire game, and you're going to want to take advantage of it. And for the USA, you're going to want to hold on to this card desperately until the turn 3 reshuffle, and then send it to space. After that, do your best to mitigate what you can. This has been our analysis of the Decolonization card in Twilight Struggle. We hope you found value in this video. If you did, please like and subscribe and join us next time. This is NATO with Legendary Tactics.